Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Tom George, owner and founder of SaraniaSat. It's a small business that acquires and rapidly analyzes timely and actionable global remote sensing imagery using high-performance edge computing for multiple business verticals. Next slide, please. We are all familiar with the concept of finding a needle in a haystack, but try finding the particular needle you want within a stack of similar looking needles. So SaraniaSat uses many different data sources from satellites, drones, aircraft, and ground-based IoT sensors. SaraniaSat's technology is especially good at rapidly analyzing complex information for saving lives, fueling businesses, and for making sure that everyone has food on the table. Next slide, please. The first use case I'd like to show you is for defense and homeland security. And here is an example of SaraniaSat's advanced artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms successfully finding the single plane flying within a 100 square kilometer multispectral satellite image. If you can click that image, you'll see the plane. Yeah. For homeland security applications, this translates to finding, say, a terrorist within a crowd before that terrorist can cause any harm. And the consequences of making a mistake, I don't need to tell you, is that not only are innocent lives lost, but also a terrorist loss, which are both terrible outcomes. Next slide, please. When we were doing the dry run in preparation for this presentation, Asher Radensky took one look at this slide and told me he didn't know what was going on. And so, Asher, just for you, I want to say that this slide is all about why it takes data complexity to distinguish subtle differences in the spectral signatures of different crop types, such as wheat, corn, and rice. Next slide, please. This slide kind of gives you a glimpse of the various kinds of data services that exist currently. Although satellite data enjoys a nice $7.5 billion market, this is a market that has nothing but room to grow if one compares it against the giant cell phone and internet data markets, which have literally exploded in recent years. SaraniaSat's ambition, therefore, is to grow the satellite data market to match the proven smartphone and internet data markets. Next slide, please. In terms of traction, SaraniaSat has successfully generated significant revenue, both in the commercial and government sectors, and within the government, both from NASA, space, and the US Air Force. Next slide. We're not just a data company, we're also a hardware company with a partner developing the actual high-performance edge computing boards that are capable of running a wide variety of sophisticated commercial applications, such as, for instance, the L3Harris NV Geospatial Analysis product, on which SaraniaSat has developed its deep learning algorithms. Next slide, please. And so what we do different is that we both acquire and rapidly analyze H-cube data, or high spatial and temporal resolution hyperspectral imagery. Now, this is a fancy term that means that we are acquiring more layers of information and processing it much more efficiently and at a better price point than our competitors. Our competition either analyzes data from third-party sources or acquires data, but we do both. Next slide, please. With regard to ask, the United States Air Force runs a TAC5 program that matches investor dollars 1-to-1 for a maximum of $1.7 million. And so I'm therefore requesting the full $1.7 million from the Air Force that will double your investment for a total of $3.4 million for the company. Now, these funds would allow us to do some early stage research into developing a plan for a unique H-cube data acquisition and analytics satellite constellation, unlocking the potential trillion-dollar satellite data market. Next slide, please. We have a well laid out roadmap of concrete milestones on our path to implementing our ultimate H-cube satellite data constellation. Next slide. And although as a company, we are currently very small, we have been very fortunate to establish strategic partnerships with multiple major organizations such as L3Harris, UNIBAC, USGS, multiple NASA centers, universities, and the Air Force Research Labs on both our commercial and government contracts on our path to ultimately achieving our vision for an H-cube satellite constellation. We invite you to join us on this exciting journey to create a revolution in satellite data acquisition and exploitation. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I'm ready for questions.
Awesome. Any questions for Tom? Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I may have missed it, but where are you getting your data from? And is it your vision to put, for instance, like hyperspectral cameras on CubeSats in space? But where are you getting your data, and what's your vision for what those constellation satellites are going to look like?
So right now we have acquired data, hyperspectral data using an airborne platform. So we've done airborne data acquisition and analysis. There are also a number of government hyperspectral missions flying. There's an Italian mission called Prisma. There's the German DLR instrument that's flying on the International Space Station and so on. Although they are kind of limited in the spectral band that they look at, they're primarily in the visible and the near infrared. So what we'd like to do is expand that from the visible near infrared to include shortwave infrared and also long-wave infrared. These are traditionally the multispectral bands that are used by Landsat and have been proven to be applicable for multiple business verticals. So, but we, instead of the 11 multispectral bands that Landsat acquires, we are proposing to acquire 402 bands.
Derek, you're up. Derek just joined us. Derek's from AeroVironment.
Yeah, thank you for your pitch. It's really interesting, and congrats on the traction that you have already. So how do you see your competitive advantage? Is it a combination of the hardware and your computer vision? Is your software hardware agnostic? Does it still function at the compelling level without the hardware? And then also, how are you training your algorithms? Are you using synthetic data? And do you feel like you have a competitive advantage in your software itself?
So yeah, so we have our primary focuses on the software, basically deep learning algorithms to be applied on edge computing platforms. And so right now, the latency involved in getting satellite data to businesses that can consume them is too large. I mean, Landsat data, for instance, it has a repeat frequency of about 17 days, and by the time the data is processed and disseminated, it could be as much as a few months, right? And so this makes it completely unattractive for multiple business verticals, precision agriculture being one of them, where you need daily farm management information at a price point that the farmer can afford. And so what we're proposing is to do high performance edge computing on the satellite platform itself in order to be able to deliver the actionable information in the form of prescriptions, in this case, within 24 hours of acquisition from the satellite platform. So the ultimate implementation calls for a 15 satellite constellation that could give you a daily global coverage at any point on the Earth.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as strategy, just quickly, are you looking at the precision agriculture as a beachhead that you will then expand from there to other markets, or are you trying to do defense and other applications simultaneously?
So the answer is kind of both. I mean, we do have a beachhead in agriculture based on our relationships with the large agricultural firms, Bayer Crop Science in this case. But in addition, we've had a considerable amount of success both on NASA and DoD contracts, specifically the Air Force, for high performance edge computing of big data, meaning hyperspectral data.
Thank you.
Okay.
Joseph, you're up for the last question. Just introduce yourself, please. We're not. I don't think we're getting you. Nope.
Yeah, hey, my fault. Name's Joe Freyer. I'm not sitting on this panel. I just wanted to say, so I'm an Air Force employee, and I saw you're looking for TAC5 Strat5 funding. I was wondering if you had already reached out to AFWorks.
Yes. In fact, we are a AFWorks pitch day winner on 2 proposals. So
Wonderful.
So we have a very good relationship with AFWorks, and this is what enables us, or it makes us eligible for TAC5.
Okay.
But now the issue is to find the matching funds from an investor or a government program, and either one would work.
I see. Okay. I misunderstood your request. All right. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
No problem.